Listen, there is a ton going on this week, but we really need to talk about these two stories because amongst all of the other noise in the zeitgeist, right, they're indicative of a huge fucking problem we all have with processing information and just media literacy in general. So if you didn't know, very recently, Taylor Swift released her brand new album, Life of a Showgirl, which not only broke streaming records, but has also been critically demolished by a large majority of her fan base, with many people pointing out the inconsistencies in the trite framing of the lyrics and calling it a general misfire in terms of quality overall compared to the other projects she's released in the past. Alongside that, there are multiple accusations that some of the tracks on the album are dog whistles for the MAGA movement, with many people pointing the finger at her engagement to Travis Kelce, who they say is probably part of that movement, as well as pointing out Taylor's past problematic relationship with the imagery of the 50s that she evokes in a lot of her music videos and aesthetic. There's that one music video where she's on like safari in Africa. There are also multiple creators who have called out some of the lyrics here as being racially tinged or problematic, like, but I'm not the baddest and this isn't savage, with a large portion of the internet turning on Swift, saying that she is now making conservative propaganda in order to push a Christian nationalist agenda, similar to trad wives like Lily Gaddis. Maybe not that bad, but akin to it. Others also calling out Swift's status as a billionaire, saying that this album proves that she truly wants poorer people than her to suffer. But that's the first story, right? The other story I wanted to talk about in the headlines was Hasan Piker and his dog Kaya, and the accusations that on stream, apparently, Piker can be seen using a shock collar on Kaya.
Reason as to why America, Kaya, please just fucking go, just stop. Jesus Christ, what are you doing? You're being such a baby.
This obviously led to many people who have pets or love animals in general to call out Piker for using what seems to be a shock collar, saying that it's abusive to your pets to use one, with the sea of backlash, right, including some of Piker's own fans. Frustrated that Hasan would do such a thing, with many others speculating that there's other abuse and that Kaya is actually scared of him. People pointing out the hypocrisy of Hasan's morality as well as his cruelty here. Others theorizing that the reason Kaya is in the background and just stays there is because she's worried that Hasan is going to get angry at her. Backlash reaching everywhere, from Twitter to subreddits like Livestream Fail to TikTok. And listen, you may not see the similarities between these two stories, but they are really fucking mirrors, right? Because both of these are situations involving two public figures whose history and statements and actions have been well documented over the past decade, who represent really strong, different things to different politically charged groups of people, and whose role and context in these two stories represent wild fucking narratives that contradict all of the information available about them to serve two backlash campaigns. AKA, there is some sus shit going on with these two stories with all of the information available. Watching this over the last week has been really fucking concerning, especially because how 10 toes down some people are about these two public figures. People are dying on this hill about Swift and Piker, and I've seen people who sincerely understand the nuance and what's actually going on in the Piker situation, who willingly turn on blinders when discussing this Swift one. It's fucking crazy. And any sort of discussion around the material facts of this situation is immediately conflated with trying to nuance fascism or ignoring animal abuse because you're a fan or you're just a fucking idiot. That's actually the prevalent one. In both of these situations, everyone involved in the backlash somehow thinks they are the smartest fucking people on earth, right? And if you are at all trying to mince words about this, well, then you're too much of a fan or you're a stupid fucking idiot and you're the reason why the world is fucked right now. I shouldn't have to tell you how scary and dangerous that is. We live in a world that commonly builds backlash backlash campaigns like this to force people to identify with a team and ignore context for what they perceive as the greater good. There are verifiably false statements in each of these narratives, right? But many people will willingly ignore them because they're trying to fight the billionaire class, or they want to stop extremism in politics, right? Or they're worried about fascist propaganda. Look, all of these on paper are worthy pursuits to take concern with. But the truth is, some people just want their team to win. And sometimes they want influencer power to go with it. So very quickly, I'm going to go through these two stories because there's a lot of fucking misinformation going around, and we need to talk about how people get swept up in it. And let's start right now quickly with Hasan Piker. So first off, there are many comments under YouTube videos like moist criticals on Reddit threads going, I am a dog expert, and Hasan was 100% using a shock collar. She's clearly afraid. If you could see in the photo, he needs to be locked under the fucking jail. Also, there was one comment I saw where a guy literally said, like, I use a shock collar and Hasan is clearly using a shock collar. Very adept strategy to admit to abuse while calling out abuse. And obviously, alongside some Hasan fans who are like, why can't there be one non-problematic influencer in the world, right? You expectedly had many political critics of Piker jumping on the scandal to sink his reputation, or to build for other moments to sink his reputation when they're in the middle of a debate or argument or whatever the fuck is going on, right? Like, oh, you're going to listen to the guy who shocks his dog? That includes Ethan Klein, that includes XQC, that includes Livestream Fail, like I said before. Insert controversial debate bro person here. Probably them. And here's the thing, with all that taken into account, number one, more information has come out, wasn't a shock collar. So conspicuously then, and by the way, I 100% expect a bunch of the motherfuckers who want to like prove him wrong, right, are now like just skipping to just type up a fucking essay in the comments. But never mind, conspicuously then, the narrative shifted to, oh, Kaya's so actually afraid of Piker, right, that she yelped and cowered in fear when he called her name. He's actually being secretly abusive off screen. But with that received pushback, the narrative shifted again to actually he forced her to stay in that position as a prop for his stream. Do you see this little game that's going on here? What, you're gonna condone animal abuse because your favorite streamer, you don't want to lose them? You make me sick, bro. You see what's happening here? It's a common tactic. The campaign is trying to bargain with you about what your permission structure is to consider this source of information immoral and therefore disqualified. And I should also say this before we go any further, just to clear things up. You may think I am a huge fan of Hasan. Kind of not. I frequently disagreed with him and criticized him on many things. I felt a lot of his takes are incredibly condescending, and some of his takes about, you know, media analysis I've gotten really fucking frustrated with because I just don't think they're accurate. I don't watch his streams except for work when something happens and I have to talk about something he's involved in. But he's like a pundit to me, right? I take everything he says with a grain of salt. There are other people I'm like unabashedly a fan of, where I would be way more upfront about, like, hey, I have a compromised opinion on this. And speaking of that, that's a big part of this whole discussion. So many people weighing in on this backlash already have a set in polarized opinion about this public figure. And if you want to have a conversation about how Hasan treats his dog, which again, that's a valid conversation if you want to have it, you don't try to flood the zone, right? Like you're trying to make a fucking political gaffe during an election year stick. Secondly, a lot of this expert testimony on dogs in these comments is fucking bullshit, right? Anybody who has a pet or who deals with animals can attest to going online and watching motherfuckers give you these long paragraph diatribes of advice every time they see an animal in a video or a stream, saying shit like, oh, and by the way, they're secretly being abused. Do you see that little tick there? That means that they're scared of their person. Well, do you know how badly you're treating this kitten right now? It happens in all sorts of videos, dude. Cat videos, dog videos. There are videos with exotic animals who are clearly not supposed to be pets, right? That are clearly also being abused, like they're being like fattened up, right? not given enough room to kind of run around, where the comments are completely absent about the very clear abuse there. But even still, the amount of people who just ran with this is concerning, because you can just be like, I think Hasan has stupid fucking takes sometimes. Here, I think Hasan has stupid fucking takes sometimes, and they make things worse, and he's a fucking know-it-all. You don't have to frame him for abusing his dog to have this point. Even when other evidence comes in, you don't have to stand 10 toes down and try to shift your narrative to have conviction in your dislike of him and the work he does, right? And on the other side of that, by the way, there are plenty of people who, after the vibrating collar was revealed, went, you have to be a fucking idiot to have ever believed this. You stupid fucking idiot. How fucking stupid you people got. What a bunch of smooth-brained morons to have believed this. That's a sentiment that's interesting because it isn't shared by Hasan Piker. In the video where he talks about this, even Piker admits that it's hard to understand what's going on, right? He understands how it can come off as if he might have shocked her. People are easily fooled nowadays, and not everybody is questioning everything they see all the time. But just because something looks a certain way doesn't mean it's confirmation. And that brings us to Taylor Swift. This is somehow crazier work. And I just have to make this clear again. Similar to how I feel about Hasan, not an enormous Taylor Swift fan. I work in music across multiple genres, so I listen to a ton of music and study a ton of music that comes out. I have heard most of Taylor Swift's discography. There are some songs I think are really great, solid pop songs that are worth studying and actually really, really good. And there are some songs that are fucking terrible that I think are just complete, like, what are we fucking doing here, guys? This album particularly is like cringingly bad. Like, I have so many fucking problems with these lyrics and just the song structure and the fucking weird, like, I'm telling a fairy tale. Oh, like, I hate that shit. It comes off as like theater kid and Disney adult here. There are other albums where she pulls it off, but like, I'm not about it, bro. All right, now, does something being ass make it secret conservative billionaire propaganda? Look, I will say there are some lyrics that are a little bit worrisome and problematic, like the chorus to the song Canceled, which reads, good thing I like my friends canceled. I like them cloaked in white robes with the eye holes cut out, which 100% I get. That can come off as KKK tinged apologia, because if I heard that line on its own, I would be like, God, that sounds like you're co-signing the Ku Klux Klan, right? And white supremacy, clearly. But if you listen to it in context, you'll know that that lyric isn't fucking real and was posted by some random motherfucker on Twitter after photoshopping the image of the Apple Music API. Be real with me. How many of you thought that was absolutely real without questioning it even a little bit? That's the fucking problem. Well, Zed, the fact that I could be fooled means there's... No. Anybody can be fooled. I worked in social media for a fucking decade. You can fool fucking anybody. You live in the age of AI. You think people can't be fucking fooled? So many people ran with that, by the way. Here are the actual lyrics to that song. Good things I like my friends canceled. I like them cloaked in Gucci and in scandal. Like my whiskey sour and poison thorny flowers. Welcome to my underworld where it gets quite dark. Oh my God. At least you know exactly who your friends are. They're the ones with matching scars. So, theater kid. Because tonight will be the night that I will call for you. I understand like the canceled part of it, calling up that imagery, right? But if you listen to Swift's discography, this is the fucking same version of a song she's been writing for like 5 years, right? Like, you'll find this kind of a song on Reputation, the whole album Reputation, honestly, or on Red, or on 1989. It's pretty much Shake It Off, the subject of this song. This song is also way worse than Shake It Off. Shake It Off is catchy. But look, even without the fake KKK lyrics, many people are saying that Swift is secretly, right, giving backup to conservatives, right, through this song. She's trying to like give them some support because she's engaged to Travis Kelce, which is also insane because Travis Kelce does not fucking like Donald Trump. Just because somebody is a football player And looks like that doesn't make them like a woo Trump supporter. That's a fucking stereotype, guys. Like, and by the way, the only semi-mid statement, right, that Kelsey has given on Trump was it's an honor when the president attends, no matter who he is, to the Super Bowl game, right? Almost all of his other statements and stances publicly have been against Donald Trump as a person and his administration, right? Did we also all just fucking forget the giant fucking conspiracy like a year ago when Kelsey and Swift were said to be a liberal psyop to force vaccinations on everyone to destroy Trump? You know, both of them were fucking livid about that shit, right? They were fucking furious. And furthermore, there's an increasing number of influencers over the last year and some change who just make these random fucking TikToks with celebrities they're naming off, saying this celebrity is actually secretly MAGA, with no evidence, where they'll conflate a misconstrued or misleading statement for engagement on that. Don't get me wrong, there are definitely celebrities who are like giving thumbs up to Trump secretly, but they're not fucking hard to find. Again, even as somebody who thinks Swift's album here is shit and isn't really a fan of Travis Kelce, right? Both of them have a long and aggressive and documented history of literally fighting against Donald Trump in the press, through political actions, through money donations for the last decade. But what about the racially insensitive or problematic overtones in her music video? Yes. 100%. That is an incredibly valid conversation to have, and an important one that's gotten ignored for way too long. When that music video I mentioned earlier about the like safari in Africa kind of came out, a lot of people called that out and weren't listened to. It's worth talking about. It's definitely problematic, and we all have blind spots. And to the people who weren't noticing that, it's an important thing to bring up. If you have problems with billionaires and you think all billionaires are unethical and that she should be doing more to help families and all that, valid, right? But you don't need to make up shit to dislike a celebrity or a pundit. This is the problem that we have. Too many people online are building propaganda systems to support causes, many really important ones as well, through scapegoating and attacks. A lot of people are building support for their movements by designating an enemy, right? Which is a tactic that was used by Republicans in the mid-2000s and by accelerationists in the late 2010s. It's also used by groups, and I'm being very serious, not conflating here, like ISIS, right? And the Westboro Baptist Church and Al-Qaeda, right? Here, it is common. It makes having actual conversations about class disparity or cruelty to animals or activism or cancellation and the culture war very hard to have. To be honest with you, it literally is playing the culture war. It is 100% designed for that. And I'm making this video to say, please, do not fall down these fucking rabbit holes. You may think you are furthering your cause. You are not. You are poisoning yourself and the context of your movement. If you're like a Destiny fan who's shit talking Hasan, you don't need to stretch to prove to us you dislike Hasan Piker, bro. All right, there's plenty of things to dislike with him. Like, we get it. You say it all of the time, right? We know you disagree with everything that he is. Similarly, if you're a leftist, Taylor Swift is a billionaire and she has cringy lyrics is fine. It's a fine thing. That's fine. But it is a crazy piece of work to hop onto these backlash campaigns because they aren't designed to promote your cause. They're designed to eliminate context for your specific message to thrive. That's propaganda, bro. You are not nuancing fascism for wanting to be accurate and in context. And you're not on a fucking team. If there are teams, right, and they're separated, these are what the teams are. People who genuinely want the world to be a better, less painful, and terrifying place, who want to be selfless, and people who want power over the well-being and at the expense of others. Only one of those groups doesn't want you to read the fine print. Let me know what you think in the comments. That's our show. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back again this weekend. Please be careful with what you read. I get it. It's tempting to be like, yo, fuck this person or fuck this person because you don't like what they stand for. You feel like tearing them down as a symbol will somehow get people to wake up. I promise you, it's not about tearing them down. It's about lifting up your ideas. And again, Taylor Swift is not a secret MAGA trad wife, okay? Hasan is not the Turkish version of the bad owner clown from Air Bud. There are people in society who you don't like for valid or invalid reasons, whatever. Call them out on that, all right? That's honest. I have a couple minutes left, but I will say, keep in mind, it was only like a few months ago where motherfuckers were like reading the Osama bin Laden letter, and because he mentioned Palestine, people were like, oh, like he had a point about the US, when it was fucking Osama bin Laden trying to manipulate people because he's a massive piece of shit human being, or was a massive piece of shit human being. But just like, don't go down the rabbit hole, bro. All right, that's our show. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Tabani, and I'll see y'all soon. Let's go.